Welcome back to Engineered Coffee. If you haven't listened to the other episodes, you'll want to catch up because things were so fast. To recap, my first attempt to pitch Nespresso-compatible capsules to the Radisson Blu Hotel Group completely flopped. The new city's machines had changed the game. There was no longer a rubber seal in the brewing chamber. A new brewing head design that allowed water to bypass any capsule that didn't match Nestle's exact specs. In short, they booby-trapped the machine. But failure is only fatal if you don't learn from it, and I had a solution brewing. So, Nespresso had a brilliant and slick solution with the silicon gasket on the back edge of the flange. And it was an expensive and difficult thing to do. And the machinery to do it was really expensive, as you can imagine, just to microdose a very thin layer of silicone on a circular surface 3 millimeters wide. And then again, what grade of silicon was food grade? What about drying time? These problems were not going to be easy to replicate. So, I came up with the idea to add a pre-made gasket to the back of the capsule. Something soft, compressible, and something that could deform and form a watertight seal against the dimpled surface of the new Nespresso brewing chamber. Enter TPU, thermoplastic polyurethane, the same kind of material you'd find inside a soft drink cap or a pill bottle lid. We had a die made to cut out thousands of gaskets. It was expensive as well. As you can imagine, there was a huge amount of waste. However, it worked brilliantly. With the gasket in place, we had a seal. The water could no longer leak around the capsule. Instead, pressure built up properly, and the coffee brewed just as it should. But this wasn't a perfect situation. Gaskets are fiddly, they're expensive, and they're a pain to install at high speeds or even low speeds, especially on my simple capsule production line. Plus, there was always the risk that one might fall off before brewing. This would lead to a bad experience for the end user, which would be bad. So we included a few extra gaskets in every box, just in case, a workaround, but it kept us in the game. Momentum was picking up, and we had just signed a UK distributor who was brave enough to take this on, and we shipped out our first container of capsules. We also got shelf space in a few South African supermarkets, and it felt like a real breakthrough. But then it happened. Less than a week later, a process server shows up at the door, legal papers in hand. They purchased some of the first production, and they were not impressed. Nespresso had officially fired the first shot. But turns out they were ready for this. Back in 2007, years before I'd even started, Nespresso had anticipated that compatible capsules would eventually become an issue. They partnered with a Swiss company known for their precision silicon components and developed a new capsule design with a silicon gasket molded directly onto the flange. They weren't just building a better capsule. They were building legal armor. Of course, they filed new patents, lots of them. And the key claim? That no one else could place a compressible material like a rubber or TPU gasket on the back rim of the capsule in a way that deforms under compression during brewing. Sound familiar? My design hit that claim dead on, bullseye, bam. And when I spoke to my patent attorneys, the message was clear. This was not a fight I was going to win. So I conceded. Nespresso sent the sheriff in. They seized everything, all of our stock. Even the container bound for the UK, gone. It was brutal. But it was also a wake-up call. In the next episode, I'll tell you how we regrouped and what we learned from going toe-to-toe with a company that had the legal equivalent of a tank and a budget to match it. This is Engineered Coffee. If you're enjoying the ride, hit subscribe, leave a review, and tell your friends. We're just getting started.